Hello everyone, this is second podcast of EuroChamber. My name is Bimkhand. I'm Policy Director at EuroChamber.
Hello everyone, I'm Zandan, CEO of EuroChamber.
Recently, the Parliament's autumn session was adjourned, right? And one of the highlighted laws was the investment law. And could you tell us what happened with the new investment law? What kind of discussion was there?
Right. Well, in January, we saw a heated discussion on the new investment law. So we should note that Ministry of Economy and Development did an excellent job in engaging the business associations. So it was the very first time when we gave comments and we actually received feedback from the ministry. So we appreciated that. So the law had some positive highlights, and that included some dispute resolution mechanisms, including the very first one was creation of the Investment Protection Council. So the council was designed to solve disputes between the private sector and the government organizations. So this was quite an important thing because dispute resolution in Mongolia takes long time, especially when it goes to court. It takes from 1.5 years to up to 16.5 years. It's a statistics from the Ministry of Justice. So another dispute resolution mechanism was the allowing international arbitration in the disputes. Also, another positive highlight was reduction of bureaucracy. So, for example, similar government inspections wouldn't be done more than twice a year, which was a great improvement because many businesses complain. Some of the government inspections, they occur, more than 10 times or even 20 times per year. And also, including in the bureaucracy, also it had some things like elimination of the 100,000 threshold and land utilization permits to be given for 40 years and can be extended for 60 years. So unfortunately, the new investment law discussion was postponed, and it was mainly because the public raised concerns on the elimination of the $100,000 threshold and also the land utilization permits to be given to by up to 100 years. So this is understandable from the point of view that we, fear, Mongolia fears of flood of especially Chinese immigrants. And this was raised as a national security issue by some politicians and also by the public. But in our view, this could be separate because investment threshold or land utilization, it could be also, separated on the residence permits and also the visas, because normally many countries, they don't have particular investment thresholds. So, and currently this 100,000 threshold, it doesn't mean that, it's only for one shareholder. It's for example, 4 to 5 shareholders. If they created a company, they would need to deposit 100,000 per person, which means Mongolia's threshold is being quite high. And also technically, you have to deposit it into a bank account. And you can take it like after a week or something. So this doesn't mean that it creates benefits to the economy, and especially considering that investment types could be different, not only in cash, but also it could be technology, know-how, etc. So in that case, this 100,000 threshold is not being particularly beneficial. It just creates more bureaucracy. And for land utilization permits, we had investors complaining that it takes very long time to extend the permit. So currently it's given on a few years basis. For example, it could be given on 3 years, and investors, they have to renew the license each year, which means it's not creating a stable environment for investors. To conduct their business, they need land. But giving land away to a business for like 60 years, for 40 years, it doesn't necessarily mean we will have a flood of immigrants, because there are certain regulations that limit the number of foreign workers. And because businesses, they need to like, when you intake the foreign workers, there are certain quotas, and for each foreign worker you have to pay a fee of certain amount, which is twice the amount of the minimum wage of Mongolia. Mm-hmm. So in that case, these two issues could be separate, but unfortunately it created a lot of tensions within the public, and some politicians raised it. This, led for the discussion of the law to be postponed.
So I would like to highlight that the Parliament in 2023, Parliament approved the law on private-public partnership, and this law will come force this year, and I hope that the businesses will greatly benefit from this law.
Okay, Bemba, you were engaged with the Mongolian Economic Forum on organizing the Regional Development Forum. Could you tell us more about it, and why does it matter?
Mm-hmm. In 2023, the government of Mongolia approved the resolution on declaring the 2024 as the year to support regional development. That's why they decided to organize this forum this year, in the beginning of the year. So basically, Mongolia was divided into 7 regions, and within these regions, what kind of works government could to improve the regional development, because as you know that the 46% of Mongolian population only resides in Ulaanbaatar, and that creates a lot of issues like air and soil pollution, smoke issues, like conjunctions. Everything is because of this over concentration of in Ulaanbaatar. That's why government decided to diversify regional economy, and in order to do that, of course, we need infrastructure, both a hard and soft infrastructure. And before this before this roundtable happening, there was a kind of preliminary discussion within this region, and then main idea was this discussion was that to create the regional identity. So basically, in the past, we usually identify ourselves as if I'm born in Arhangai, I would say I'm Arhangai, like identity, right? But now they're trying to create maybe Hangai region identity or Western region identity. Such kind of common sense of the region is very important. At the same time, as government is going to, as I said, going to develop a regional infrastructure that actually creates the cornerstone for the development.
So that's interesting, because it reminds me of the wrestlers. Many wrestlers who were born in Ulaanbaatar, they never said to Ulaanbaatar origin, while in sumo, for example, they say Ulaanbaatar origin, Asashori, etc. So if we are born in Ulaanbaatar, will we be in central region or?
Yeah, basically 7 region plus the Ulaanbaatar is a separate region. So
Ulaanbaatar region.
On 10th of January, EuroChamber organized the Mongolia Economic Outlook 2024, and we had a very interesting discussion. Could you share about that Mongolian Economic Outlook in 2024, any good news?
Yes, 2024 is going to be quite good for Mongolian economy. Mongol Bank projects that Mongolian economy will be 6.2%, with inflation rates of 1 digit, 8%, and depending on the circumstances, they also project an inflation of 6% as well. So the EBRD is projecting even a more positive outlook, 7.2%, while ADB, they had initially a projection of 6.2%, and then it slightly lowered down to 5.9%. So basically, the Mongolian economy is projected to be quite positive. And if we look at last year, the tourism sector, it grew quite well. The number of tourists who came to Mongolia, it hit record high of 660,000 tourists. And interestingly, last year, we had a trade deficit on tourism, versus normally we had trade surplus. So there were more Mongolians going abroad rather than coming to Mongolia. So this year, tourism will be one of the highlight sectors. Also, last year, mineral sector grew a lot as well, mainly attributing to the previous shutdowns of China because of COVID, zero COVID policy. And last year, for example, we had a record high export of coal, hitting 60 million tons of coal. So this year, also commodity prices will be stable, which means because Mongolia's dependency on commodity prices and commodity exports, Mongolia's economic outlook is going to be quite healthy.
Mm-hmm. What about the risks?
So the main risks that the participants were saying was the elections. So Mongolia is expecting parliamentary elections in June 2024. And it will be quite interesting elections because it will be the very first time when Mongolia will use the mixed proportionate system. And the number of members of parliament will increase from 76 to 126. And we're expecting it to be quite a diverse parliament. Well, obviously, one political party will be majority, but we hope to see more representation in the parliament as well. Okay, tell us what happened in January.
Unfortunately, I have unfortunate news about the fire explosion that we have in this January. And because of this massive fire outbreak, we had a tragic death of 3 firefighters and 1 resident of the nearby building. And EuroChamber expresses condolences, deepest condolences to the relatives, families of those who lost their lives during this fire outbreak.
This was indeed very sad news. So all of us, we express condolences. And also it makes us to reflect on our standards of the urban planning, also on the equipment of fire equipment of the staff as well.
Deputy Prime Minister Amar Sahan has assigned relevant ministers, leaders, the task of updating and uniformly enforcing standards regulation that can be forced throughout Mongolia.
We hope this kind of thing won't happen in the future. So in February, we will have our Lunar New Year. So the first and second day of Lunar New Year are normally holidays, but this year those will be Saturday and Sunday. So basically there won't be impact on the working days. So wishing you all good Tsagansar.
Happy Lunar New Year, and this is the end of the EuroChamber podcast, and thank you for your attention. See you next time.
Thank you.